This interview is a part of the Oklahoma Historical Society's oral history program, Living Legends Collection. This interview was originally conducted on February 19th, 1965. The interview is conducted by Mr. Frank Doyle. The interviewee is Mr. Beverly Osborn of Oklahoma City. This interview is being re-recorded on November the 28th, 1984 for inclusion in the permanent collections of the oral history program by Judith Michener.
Well, you know, Beverly Osborn, this is the 19th day of 1965, 19th day of February 1965. It's going rather rapidly, isn't it?
Rolling along.
And we're sitting here in your office, putting on this tape some reflections, some recollections that you have in the time that you've been here in Oklahoma City, and it becomes a part of the permanent library out at Oklahoma Christian College in their Living Legend Library. So we may just well find out when you came to town, or what's the lineage of Osborn.
Well, I landed in this spot right here, December the 21st at 1:30, 1921. I went to work.
Right in this spot here.
I'll never forget it. I borrowed $15 from the milkman to make change with that day. And incidentally, those brick in the wall had just torn down 4 years ago. Out of the original building, I make the inner wall of my office out of those bricks.
This is brick. Well, did you, well, now you say in 1921, was it?
December the 7th.
December the 7th,
At
1920?
1:30.
At 1:30. Why do you remember the time so well?
Well, it's just about the end of the world. I didn't have no money, and I bought this little restaurant, and I agreed to pay it out $75 a week, and that is pretty high payout right then. I'll tell you, my wife and I, we worked day and night. I cooked and washed the dishes. She hopped the counter and took the cash.
Where'd you come
we
from,
paid it out.
Beverly?
Comanche, Oklahoma. I was born down in Marlow.
Born in Marlow.
And I went in 1916 from Marlow down to Comanche and worked in a drugstore, met my wife down there and married her, and moved from Comanche up here in 1921.
Decided to brave the big city and see what could be done.
Yeah. I thought opportunities may be a little more numerous.
So you bought this, and what'd you call it, Beverly's?
No, we bought it from Mr. Hunt. It's Hunt's Waffle Shop, and we was afraid to change the name.
Yeah.
We run it about 6 months, and a man come in one day and says, "Why are you publicizing somebody's name besides your own? Why don't you build yourself a reputation?" I said, "That's the idea. Just call the sign man and have him come up and put the sign on the, take old sign off and put the new sign up, call it Osborn's Waffle Shop."
And that's how you got started. Huh?
That's how I got started in this town.
This is 209
209 West Grand Avenue at that time. It's West Sheridan at this time.
Well, that was quite a beginning, and things were a little bit rough, huh?
There's more than rough if they could get that way. No money, no food, no nothing.
But I'll bet did business, how was business then? Did it start to pick up, or what happened?
Well,
it's interesting for people to know.
the man next door to the theater, who owns the theater, and his brother owned the delicatessen outside the theater, had a restaurant. And he owned this place also on the lease. He owned the lease on it. And he wouldn't let us sell meat. We sold only waffles, hot cakes, coffee, pie, donuts, milk. That's it.
Couldn't sell meat, huh?
We could sell an egg sandwich. That's the nearest we could sell an sandwich. And we had bean soup. We still sell that same bean soup today. That's 44 years of selling a bean soup. It's not hay. But we sold good food. We knew food because we loved food, and we cooked it just like we wanted to eat it ourselves and kept it that way. And we soon had them standing up every day at lunchtime eating. We worked at it and finally spread it out to more places. Today we own 7 restaurants and more than 200 franchises use our famous chicken rough throughout the world.
That's an interesting thing. Incidentally, when did you start to serve meat here? When did you get over that hump?
1937, I believe. We'd been here quite a spell for us.
It took you that long to get over that one, huh?
Well, the man's brother died and he quit business. Naturally, he would. And
where was the
lease.
Beverly? Where was your first expansion? Where was number 2?
810 North Robinson, right across the street from Central High School.
Uh-huh.
And 810 North Robinson was quite a ways out in 1921. It was just a few more blocks to the prairie.
Uh-huh.
Now it's several miles to the prairie, right up the same street.
What's in there now?
The parking lot.
Parking lot.
All been torn down.
Well, it seems automation has taken over. Automobiles take over every place, don't they?
They sure do.
Then how about number 3, if we can follow down chronologically?
Number 3, I put it in where the First National Bank is now. I leased half of a building and put a curved top ceiling in, and that restaurant cost $8,500, and that was a fortune.
Yes, it was.
And it only had 18 stools. But we had exhibition cooking, we call it. You cook out in front of the people.
Cooking in the window, you mean? That type
Well,
of thing?
no, we had a horseshoe counter, a half of a horseshoe counter, come out from the wall and went down the side of the building, and we had these stools, and then we had a little square place for cooking back in there. You could see the cook standing there, with his white cap on. If he kept it neat and clean, it looked good, and people like exhibition cooking. We're still doing it right here today.
Well, that's true. That's true.
It works wonders.
Where'd you go from there?
Well, from there, we went to 15 North Harvey. That's right around the corner here.
Right.
A little more than half a block from here. We opened up that place in 1929, just about 3 weeks before the 1929 crash started. Well, we lost that place, and business got so bad we sold it out at auction. That place cost us a little over $20,000. We sold it out during the crash at auction at $750.
Well, that was quite a jolt, wasn't it?
That was a jolt, it sure was. It took us a long time to make that much money. And during the Depression, after that crash in 29, the Depression, that was beginning of the Depression, and 1923 was the bottom of the Depression, or the height, whichever way we want to look at it. And we put in, during the Depression, 3 or 4 places. When we got at the height of the Depression, we had, I believe, 11 places. That's the most we ever had. Well, at that time, we'd put them in since 1929, the first 2 or 3 years of the Depression. We bought things cheap, and we thought we could make money, but there wasn't any money. We worked quite a while, and we didn't exactly issue script. The banks, issued script.
Right.
But we issued dollar meal tickets. We trade them for bread and meat as a bartering proposition. Man needs to sell meat, we need it, and then he could eat with us and buy it back cooked. And all during the Depression, we managed every month to make a little profit and live. And we'd go to the landlord and say, now we can pay so much rent, and that's all we can pay, and stay open, or we'll have to close up, and you can take us over and do whatever you want to. We're doing the best we can. We don't owe anybody. We don't want to owe anybody. And we didn't have a landlord. It didn't go along with us, every one of them. And we made it through the Depression and stayed on top till we got to be fairly successful, and today we are known around the world. There's not very many restaurant people in the world more.
Well, when did this chicken in the rough idea start?
That started in 1936. I leased a plot of ground right north of the Capitol, a block, and it had an old nursery on it. And I let a contract to build a building. I didn't have any money. I had $350 in the bank. I'll never forget that. We was just beginning to try and save a little money, keep expanding also. But I went down to Kilpatrick Lumber Company when I started this building, and I bought enough lumber at one time to build the building because I didn't have the money to pay for the lumber. And I didn't think he'd sell it to me on a credit. So he said, "Beverly, that's quite a load of lumber you're buying." I said, "Well, I need it." He said, "You got the money to pay for this?" I said, "I'll have it when time comes." He says, "Well, now 30 days credit's all the way extend to anyone." He said, "Don't think you're buying this on credit because you're not." I said, "Okay." I didn't have the least idea how I was going to pay him. I didn't have the money. But during the next 30 days or so, I found a man in Norman that was loaning little money on property. And I had a home pretty well paid for. And he loaned me $4,000.
Where was the home?
524 Northwest 26th Street. So that $4,000, I went down and paid the man right on the dot for that lumber. And I didn't have the least idea where I'd get the money to pay that when I told him I'd pay it. But I knew if I got the lumber in that building that he couldn't get it back, and if I lived I was going to pay him, and that's all he wanted me to do anyway, see?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
where'd you get the idea for Chicken in the Rough?
well, 1936, I had the coffee shop down in Hudson Hotel, just down the street here, a block and a half from here. We decided to go to California. I had a man and woman run that place. They worked for me for 27 years after that. I said, "Let's go to California. I've got the contract left for the new place out there, and let's look for some ideas." All right, so a few days we got off, and we fried up a couple of baskets of chicken. You know, stopping along the road to eat takes money. That's something we didn't have much of. So we started to California. We cooked up our chicken for lunch that day, and we left pretty early in the morning. And right this side of Amarillo, Texas, was riding along, we decided we'd eat. So we just go and drive and eat too. So we just got our chicken spread, and boy run over a rough place in the road. Chicken bounced out of her lap down on the floorboard. Well, we retrieved that right away. So we just about got set up again, and done the same thing happened the second time. My wife made the remark, said, "This is pretty rough chicken." We got thinking, rough chicken, chicken in the rough. We talked about it all the way to California, about fixing a plate of chicken. I love chicken. I really love it. I eat more chicken than anybody in the world. And so we decided, after going to California and eating every place we figured we could afford to eat, and we'd order chicken. And chicken is the worst butchered food of any commodity in a restaurant. They just don't fix chicken very many places that you can eat. So we decided to cut a chicken down the middle, cut each side in 5 pieces, put it on the menu, serve without silverware. Well, we didn't know people would go for eating with their fingers, you know. We knew that's the only good way to eat it, but
that's true.
Doing it
Right.
was something else if the public would accept it. So we got this place built, and we opened up on one Saturday. They was having something out at Spring Lake Park, a big to-do that day. And we opened up about 10 o'clock in the morning, I remember. And the chef got in 36 chickens, 3 dozen. I said, "Boy, that'll make 72 orders. What are you going to do with all that chicken?" He said, "Well, I hope to sell it." I said, "Never sell that much chicken." So by 1:30 we was out of chicken. It really went way beyond our expectation. We was selling for 50 cents then for half a 2-pound chicken disjointed in the 5.
What'd you serve with it? Just the chicken?
Sir?
Just the chicken? Is that what you served?
Well, no, chicken, shoestring potatoes, hot butter rolls, and a little jar of honey. That's a complete meal.
Yeah.
And a ridiculous price of 50 cents. That is a lot of food. 50 cents was a lot of money in 1937,
huh?
No, we opened September 7th, 1936.
1936.
And from that day to this,
It really caught on, didn't it? Did you start to advertise it then as Chicken in the Rough?
Yeah, yeah. After the people accepted it, see, and we knew it was going, we had something new and something different, and it was a real good meal, and you couldn't duplicate it for about twice the price we were charging if you was going to buy dinner of it. So we've seen the time when we'd sell, we've sold 50,000 orders of Chicken in the Rough in a day throughout all of our operations.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a lot of chicken.
That's a great deal of chicken.
It is. It sure
And then
is.
you put it in the rest of your places then, huh?
Yeah. And then I went to Chicago one time. I left there and I said, I'm going to sell a franchise before I come back. Well, there'd never been in such thing as a restaurant franchising at that time. It's pretty prevalent today. But we stayed at Marsden Hotel. And I got out early the next morning. I started walking around. And I went in a place at 5 West Randolph Street in Chicago, Illinois. That's the busiest corner in the world at that time. I don't know if it still is or not, but that's what they claim for. It's confectionery and lunches together. It wasn't the right kind of place, really. But I talked to the management, and they sent me down to their commissary. Well, I went down there and talked to them, and I fixed up a couple of orders of chicken, fried it, served it just like we serve it. They ate it. They said, we'll try it. And I said, well, it'll cost you 2 cents of chicken, royalty. They said, okay. So we put it in up to their place, 5 West Randolph Street. I never had no facilities for frying chicken other than just a skillet, like Mother always fried it. So we put it in. Come Saturday, we had the place swamped. They couldn't get the chicken out fast enough. I said, well, I'm on the right track with the wrong pew. I've got to prepare some kind of a fast way for frying this chicken. So I come back to Oklahoma City, went out to Boardman Company with a drawing that I made for the assembly line preparation of chicken. It's deep on one end and goes shallow out to the other end. We put the chicken on there, on the deepest part of the fat, and then turn it over and push it up to the shallow fat and brown it off and put more behind it. We'd put on one end, take it off the other end. That way we could produce it fast, about as fast as you could sell it. We did after we got to doing it just right. And that caught on real good, and the people in Chicago sent me a check for $50 royalty and said we're quitting as of today. Well, that was all right. I didn't want them to quit necessarily, but I didn't want them to keep it if it wasn't going to be successful, and it wasn't the way we were handling it. And it wasn't the right kind of place in the first place. It wasn't a big food place like we wanted to cater to. So after we got this griddle made for frying the chicken, and then I made a deep French fry kettle to fry potatoes in, and got it patented. And then I got loaded up one day to go to California to sell a franchise. The McDonald's chain out there had 35 restaurants. That's quite a lot of restaurants to me. In fact, that's out of this world as far as I was concerned. But I went to this McDonald's and talked to Mr. McDonald. Well, California people, they were just a little on the shy side from Okies coming out there selling them idea. But I told him I'd put it in. If I didn't increase his business 25%, I'd take all my equipment out, and it didn't cost me anything. And I said, people don't come to you and say, want to sell you something and say, I'll guarantee to do so-and-so with it. Make your money or you don't pay me. And I said, that's difficult to turn down, but you may do it. He says, no, I'm going to try it. So I got set up, and I went to the florist shop and asked them for flowers on my opening day for a plug on the radio. and also went to Roatan Cigar Company, made arrangements for cigars, and they charged me for some of them and give me some, and I plugged them on the radio. So we opened on a Saturday.
Where was this in California?
6600 Wilshire Boulevard, right across from the May Company today. There's a Japanese department store there now. I go to California pretty regular. My mother lives out there. And we opened up on Saturday, and we sold a little more than 2,200 orders of chicken. It was a real large restaurant, but the man wasn't doing too much business. He was having a hard time. And from that day on, we sold franchises. And when the war come along, I had a little more than 300 franchises. That was 1940 what? War started.
Well,
40,
in this country, you
yeah,
mean?
41.
41, 42?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the war was over, why, we'd lost all of them down about 60 places. People during the war closed up, went to the war, got killed, divorces, and first one thing another. But we've come a long way since the war, but I don't travel anymore. I used to travel. I could go out and sell chicken rough just like nobody's business. You're supposed to be able to sell your own product, you know.
Right.
And today we have about 35 places in Canada. That's the most we have outside of the borders of the United States. We had one place, Johannesburg, South Africa, Honolulu. And that's as far as we got outside of the continental
Well,
United
Johannesburg,
States.
South Africa is pretty far away.
Well, we didn't go down to sell that. Those people come out up here one time. There's two brothers own two places down there called the Dollhouse.
Uh-huh.
They put it in right soon after the war. But something happened to them later on, and they gave it up, and they got out of business, in fact. But you have to have them where you can supervise them. There's nothing automatic. You got to supervise things and keep the quality up.
Right.
People let it run down, and some people will buy a franchise. They don't want it. They're jealous, but they'll buy it to keep Joe Dokes down the street from getting
Right.
it. We have that kind of trouble.
Was there one in Honolulu operating?
No, the property changed hands, and they have automobile place there, and the people that were running the place quit the rest of the business. And I've got two salesmen, full-time salesmen, to work now. Also, man we have off in South Bend, Indiana, and Mr. Clark, and he's promotional manager. But we don't do as much business as we used to do, but it don't take as much for me to live as it used to. I don't spend it as fast. I don't do as many things as I used to.
You don't move around as
really,
quickly as you used to.
Really don't. I got a new airplane, been flying quite a lot lately. I love to fly.
You got, when was it, last year or so that you got your multi-engine rating?
7 months ago, I got my multi-engine rating after I was past 68. That's kind of unheard of.
Yes, it is. I know it was quite a nice news story on that.
Yes, sir. Well,
What'd you buy it? Commander?
got an Aero Commander, and I think it's the finest private airplane that's ever made.
Well, it certainly is. And it's
Wonderful.
another good Oklahoma product.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma made. See, that helps make things good, you know.
Right. All right.
Yeah, sure enough. My wife's always been right alongside of me. We fly together. We work together. Been wonderful. Had a wonderful life. You always have a few regrets, of course.
Well,
Been
generally, how is business?
Business right now is kind of leveled out. It's been pretty bad since January the 1st. Well, right after Christmas, business fell off.
Isn't that sort of normal?
Yeah, last year we thought the bottom was going to drop out, but about March it began picking up. Tourists started moving. You know, we depend a lot on tourists. We do our best business is local business, but that fill in with tourist business comes between 2 and 5 o'clock, a lot of it. And in the morning they'll eat breakfast all morning. It gives you a good fill in for the day, fills you out. Very wonderful.
Now, you got 7 places in operation now in the city?
Of our own.
Of your own?
Yeah.
That's here, which is the original spot
Yeah.
on West Sheridan.
Yeah.
Now, where else?
Well, we have 1207 North Walker, the gridiron,
Mm-hmm.
and 1220. That's at Classen and 23rd Street, 1220 West 23rd Street.
Mm-hmm.
And at the Expressway in Penn Square, we have what we call Pancake Corner.
Mm-hmm.
And Pancake Alley, 16th and May. And Beverly's 29th Street, that's just a new one we just opened at 29th and May South. It's in Capitol Hill. And we have the cafeteria that we're changing over on West 39th Street, near Bethany and War Acres.
Any date on that?
No, we got quite a problem with changing over. It's a bigger job than we anticipated, but we want to do it just like we want to do it. So really we're not hurrying. The bad months are kind of here in the cold months, and we're taking advantage of these months to remodel it.
Well, you should be open by tourist season, don't you?
Oh yeah, we'll be open with tourist season. Yeah.
Mhm. Was that the first cafeteria type that you went into?
Yeah, that's the first time I ever tried cafeteria, but we built an image around the restaurant business. We serve the Mexican plate, Gulf of Mexico, and chicken in the rough. And we have several items that don't work on the cafeteria line.
Mm-hmm.
And really that didn't enter our mind. And people come in and order those, well, they couldn't get them. They said, well, that's not Beverly's, we'll just go down 23rd Street.
Mm-hmm.
And it got just a little out of hand. And we decided, well, if people don't want us in this kind of business, we don't want in it. We'll give them what they want.
Well, you're subject to the public's wants and the
That's
whims,
right.
aren't you?
You build an image and you got to stay with it.
Well, it's been a good image, though, hasn't it, Beverly?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, sure is. We've built a good reputation. I'm not throwing flowers at myself, but we build honest business and give people honest value. We love the people that we do business with. They don't just come in our house to eat, they come see us.
That seems to be a general feeling, particularly in this town, because I say this town, it's a great town, a great city.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people with whom you've done business and customers of yours that help make this city.
Yeah, many of them, yeah. 44 years we've been in it, see?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's nearly half century.
You've seen a great many changes, haven't you?
You sure have, yes, sir.
This downtown area was
Used to be the heart of the world. I used to call this spot right here the heart of the world.
mhm.
It's not that anymore.
Don't you think eventually there will be a sort of
Well, the new
resurgence?
expressway, they're just about to finish now, and it comes off, it's got a turnoff here on Harvey and comes right up by us,
Mhm.
almost. It's going to help this thing. And the image of the downtown is going to grow again.
Mhm.
Because when you go to any city, you go downtown, don't you?
Certainly.
You don't go out to shopping center when you go to Chicago or New York or places like that. The downtown is where you go. Well,
Yes.
we're going to make downtown Oklahoma City the place that people from any other state that comes through town, they can be proud of downtown Oklahoma City.
I think that there is a feeling that because of the city is comparatively young, as to
Yes.
other cities around the
Oh.
country, the redoing will cause far less disruption than it would elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a wonderful city, and all the planning that's in the making right now. This new mile system that they are talking about, and all air conditioned. The streets will be air conditioned and covered, and it's going to be out of this world. And several new buildings, 25. We got planning one building for 40 stories high over on Broadway in Maine now.
Mm-hmm.
And complex of 3 buildings, I believe, on that particular block. And it's all in the making. It's here just
Won't be too
before we
long.
know it, it'll be completed.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the big new Mummers Theater's going in. We'll have theater facilities right here in the complex. Everything a man wants to see when he comes to town.
Well, you're in right here as we're sitting in the upstairs of number 1, which is your actual headquarters, isn't it?
That's right.
Right next door was the old theater that's been torn down and gives you some adequate parking now that you haven't enjoyed.
Yeah, we need that parking very much. I'm glad to get the theater down. It's wonderful as long as it made good, but theaters are far and few between that make good today. And that's TV and radios can't change the picture quite a lot. There's still a lot of good picture shows on theaters.
Other than competition, Beverly, do you think the food business has radically changed over the period of your experience?
Well, I'd say it's changed quite a lot now. There's a lot of cafeterias in this town that didn't used to be, and they have a little different lineup on their method. Food is practically the same around the world, good food. You can get bad most any places. You can get plenty of good food all places. But there's not too much change. We think we've changed their food setup more than anybody else in the business. We have several copyrights and patents on plates of food that nobody else can serve unless they're a franchise dealer of ours. And we've come a long ways in that direction. We're proud of it.
Well, food being a basic, it must appeal to the palate.
It must.
And must be tasty.
Must be tasty, right. Some people buy good food and ruin it preparing it to eat. And that's bad. But you can take food sometime it isn't too good. If you prepare it right, you still got good food. And if you buy quality, you really have good food. And I've always said if you can't make it buying the best, you can't make it long.
Well, you set rather high standards, didn't you, in the purchasing of food and what you expect your suppliers to furnish you?
We sure do. Yes, sir.
And in the preparation, you have a particular format that you follow,
Yes,
don't
sir.
you?
We go by recipes. There's no guesswork in our business. We just don't guess.
And did you update your chicken in the rough mechanical setup?
Yes, some, not too much. From the first one that I made, we still use the base the same, but we've got a roll top lid on it that we didn't have at that time. We used to have a lid we just picked up and set on and off, but we rolled on and off now, but basically it's the same.
How long does it take approximately when you put a piece of chicken in or a chicken until it comes out the other end?
It takes 14 minutes. If you're on the beam and do it right and don't shoot the breeze too much, tend to your business and run it on off the way you're supposed to. You can do a good order chicken in 14 minutes. Some people think cook chicken slow in a long time is best, but I disagree. I want my chicken cooked real fast. I want it brown and crisp, and I want to eat it while it's real hot. Now, some people like it cool, some people like it cold, but more people like it hot. I say that the minute it comes off the grill, it's ripe. It's like a watermelon. It's ready to eat.
And, well, of course, you've tested that time and again before you perfected it, that
Yeah,
within
sure.
that period of time you have perfectly cooked chicken.
Yes, sir. We can cook the best chicken in the world if we don't make a fuss. Of course, we've got the human element that enters into it, but we know how.
But from the time, say, you and I would order chicken in the rough right now, actually it could be 14 minutes or 15 minutes till it's served.
Yeah, you'd have it in 15 minutes.
That's very good time.
Yeah, that's good timing. Yeah, sure is.
It catches the quick luncher and...
Yeah. Well, it takes you about 15 minutes to eat a salad, and you generally eat a salad, you know, and sip a few cup of coffee.
But from the time, say, you and I would order chicken in the rough right now, actually it could be 14 minutes or 15 minutes till it's served.
Yeah, you'd have it in 15 minutes.
That's very good time.
Yeah, that's good timing. Yeah, sure is.
It catches the quick luncher and...
Yeah. Well, it takes you about 15 minutes to eat a salad, and you generally eat a salad, you know, and sip a few cup of coffee. You're ready for food then. Really ready.
The way you talk, even the way you talk about makes you hungry.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Do you have you stayed with one particular source for your chickens, or there?
No, we've improved the chicken situation from the barnyard chicken to today's chicken. There's a lot of difference now.
Yeah.
We one time we got to raising chickens, and they never set foot on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But now they still raise part of them that way, but they put some of them on gravel rock. And they rake that rock every day and keeps it fresh for them to walk on. They keep it dry. They have enough dry chat every day, and chickens eat that chat, you know, help grind their food, and they feed a certain food with vitamins, and it's medicated and antibiotics in it.
Mm-hmm.
They live better than the people that eat them.
You know, that's seems to be quite true. We were talking with B.D. Eddy the other day,
Yeah.
and discussing the evolution of the superior feed mills,
Yeah.
and the history of his family, and
Sure.
so forth. And he says a fantastic change in the preparation of food. And he made the same remark that animals today live better than
People.
or they're treated better than some children.
Yeah, that's right. Dogs, things like that.
Because they get it. There may be a like or a dislike or a laxity on the part of humans
Yeah.
to do what should be done for themselves, whereas an animal they're fed regularly.
Yeah, and he gets it, and if he don't eat it, he doesn't eat it. We don't like it, we can go some other place and try it.
So,
That's not so good for our health sometimes.
but being human beings, we're prone to do as we wish instead of what we should.
Yeah, that's right. But the flesh in a chicken today, I can taste some chicken and tell you where it was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that don't sound just right, but that's fact.
Well, I suspect that you can.
Arkansas raises the best chicken in the place in the world. There's a gravel rock country over there. I don't know something about the climate in Arkansas. That they just raise better chickens than they do any other place. The meat's a little more juice in it, a little sweeter.
A little sweeter meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What size chickens do you?
We use 2.5 pound broilers. We try to keep them there as 2.5 as we can because that makes a good meal. Right size to eat. About 8 or 9 weeks old.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're pretty good and tender by then.
Oh, they're really tender and nice. There's nothing as good as a good plate of fried chicken, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you're sold on it.
Now,
Apparently.
you might be a fish eater, see, and say, I'll take fish. But I'll take chicken.
No, I never take fish over chicken.
Well,
No.
there's nothing like crisp potatoes and honey and buttered rolls and fried chicken. Now, that's a dish fit for a king.
And you pick it right up with your fingers.
Yes, sir.
It tastes good when you lick those fingers.
It really does.
Beverly, it's been a rather interesting time for you, hasn't it? Had your ups and
I've
downs.
had an interesting life now, very wonderful and interesting. I've enjoyed life to the utmost in my lifetime. And today, my best work, I visit hospitals nearly every day and visit sick people and have prayer with them. And I visit many people that never heard of me before. I get a list every Monday morning from St. Luke's Methodist Church of all the people that are sick. Then I start down the aisle of the hospital, and if the guy looks my way and he smiles, I go in and say hello and tell him who I am, and talk to him. Before I leave, have a little prayer with him. And he's a little happier, and I am too.
That's a
When I
wonderful
leave.
philosophy.
Yeah, it's
But the greatest thing about it is that you put it into practice.
yeah. You'd think there's so many people suffering in hospitals today. You can't believe it till you get going around like I do. And so many people walking the streets wanting something to do, and they can do that. They do so much good. It goes to waste.
And those
their
people
life
are so happy to see someone.
Oh, they just tickled death to think somebody'd come by to see him. They think you love them. You do, a little bit, or you
Well,
wouldn't
really
go.
you do,
Yeah,
in
that's
your
right.
own way.
Yeah, that's right. Wonderful.
Well, I can't think of a better way to occupy your time.
No, sir, it's very rewarding. I can just get depressed and down. When you get my age, you get along to sunset, you know. Well, you get depressed some days. You think maybe this is the end about it, so and so. And I think some guys say, well, you shouldn't be depressed. Well, I shouldn't, but I am. But I can go to the hospital and stay a couple of hours and see people so much worse off than I am. Then I can go home, and after thinking things over a while, I can go to sleep.
Well, those are wonderful thoughts, and as I said, you put the theory into practice. Great many people, great many of us think, and in a way, hope that those people will be a little bit happier, but at the same time, we should be there in person.
Yeah, that's right, you should be. And it's easy to do once you start. There's the boss. You
There's the
hear
boss.
her going by.
How are you, Miss Osborn?
Come on in.
The boss.
You listened, I thought I was listening.
How are you?
Yes,
Nice to see
you
you.
know
again.
Ms. Osborn, I think,
Certainly.
don't you?
Are you all the one that's making the rest of this song?
Oh, we're just putting down some of his observations and reflections, and some pretty good commercials for chicken in the raw. Just to put it on record, so it'll be a lasting part of the library out of
It'll be here and the
college.
chickens and me are both gone.
Well, all of it.
Yeah, all of it. I think it's a wonderful thing.
Was that little article in the paper of any interest to you?
No, we haven't used it, but I read it again. We had a real good story in the paper, and I read it and see what it said. See?
See if you were quoted correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
We had an awful good write-up in the church.
Well, I started this visiting. I opened my Bible in 1957. I'd like to tell you about this. I promised the Lord to never close it again as long as I live. I put it on my mantle, in my bedroom. We live in our den, mostly, and we got a bed in there. So as I go by the bathroom or dressing, I read the Bible a little every day. Some days I read it a lot. But nearly every day I read it 2 or 3 times. And I found out that every day that I read the Bible, it helps the day along. Does something to you.
Well, everyone has their own particular way in which they communicate with God.
That's right. There's no set way to do it. Actually, you can have your own way. The main thing, well, to do it.
Oh, it's amazing. And it's also marvelous that you can recognize the fact that you feel the results of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you get something out of it. Some days I marvel at how good I feel. And I know that maybe the man that I talked to, the lady, that she was happier too. We both made happier over something that didn't cost either one of us anything to do. Only a little time.
And a little consideration,
Yeah.
compassion.
Yeah. Well, the good neighbor policy that the Lord talks about, love thy neighbor as thyself, that's quite a chore sometimes.
Isn't it?
You need a little practice to do it. That's true.
Do you have any other expansion ideas, Beverly?
Well, I keep saying all the time, this is my last, I'm going to quit here, see?
Right.
But there's some fellas coming here from Chicago. There's a picture over there. We're fixing to build a restaurant in Chicago for a franchise. Restaurant franchise set up. We've got the company formed, the money's up, it's been up for 6 months. And we've had 3 or 4 locations. Analyze them, see what we think, if this is the best thing to do or what to do. We must be successful on that first one if we're going to go places, and it takes longer. And besides, we've got some people in it that's not in the restaurant business. We got architect, contractor, and a banker. You know, you need a banker in any kind of business.
Oh, yeah.
So they have a little hard time getting together, but it was their idea. They come down here to see me, and I've been up there a time or two. We hope to get it off on the first foot in the next month or so. How many we'll build, we don't know.
Any idea where you're going to locate it in Chicago?
In Skokie, we think.
Skokie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the suburban area.
That's right.
Like Capitol is here. Capitol Hill is here.
It's a highly populated area.
Yeah, it is. Very good. Skokie is a very good area in Chicago.
I see you're using that A-frame type of building.
Yeah, that's the new concept of building. It's pretty from outside, but it's much more beautiful inside.
You used that on 39th Street.
Yeah, on 39th, on 29th also. We built.
I haven't seen the one on 29th yet.
Well, stop by and see it. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give you a ticket good for 2 chicken dinners.
You know I wouldn't refuse it. We'll eat them.
Well, someday you can look back and say, well, boy, I still taste that good fried chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Got any children in your family?
Yeah, one.
All
A
right.
boy, and he can eat chicken.
I'll make it good for 3. There you are. That's a check for 3 chicken dinners.
Isn't that something? Chicken in the rough.
It is.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, take the wife and the boy and have a good time. It's good in any of them any time.
He will have a good time because he's one of those finger eaters with chicken.
Yeah, the boys are, you know. Yeah.
But it's, we were wondering, I know a lot of people amazed at using the A-frame type of construction in a restaurant like that as to what the feasibility would be and how functional it would be. Well, it would seem to cover everything that you need.
There's one drawback we found to it, and that's the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
From the outside, that shingle roof eats up all the kind of lights we put on it.
Mm-hmm.
It just soaks in. You can't. You look like you're closed. We've got to overcome that. There's always a few bugs. The acoustics are not as good as they could be, but we'll overcome those things. You can always overcome acoustical troubles.
Mm-hmm. But for a fast turnover, as you want, even in, say, in Chicago or Skokie area, you just don't need a supper club. You want people come in and eat.
No, we're going to have you come up to the counter and order your food and sit down at the table and come back and pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's automation.
Mm-hmm.
Automation, as you said a while ago, it's here to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And more every day, there's more things automated. They're going to keep on. Labor shortage, it's no problem yet, and we're scared to death now. But the labor problem's going to get much more desperate than it is, we think.
And adequate labor. Trained
Yeah,
labor.
trained labor, skilled labor. Just isn't ordinary. I read quite a piece in the Wall Street Journal the other day about people in Dallas that they've always had pretty good labor supply around Dallas, but the contractors were screaming their head off for labor, especially skilled labor.
You have quite a training program for your people.
Yeah, and we're intensifying our labor training program. The integration problem and the fact that you can't discriminate pushes us to further our training program, which is the same thing as catching on in colleges. Colleges now, it used to didn't make much difference whether they went to college or not. As far as making a living is concerned, they didn't think. Today, it's almost impossible
Correct.
to get to be very high up in any big company without a college degree.
Correct.
And in 10 more years, it will be impossible. And the country has sensed that all around through the college part of the country. And I just reading a piece in the paper where they thought there's going to be, I forget how many more college, high school people that are ready for college in the next 10 years, how much is going to increase. The dropout's going to be nil in a few years, whereas it used to be 60%, I think, way back there. I know it was in my time. I dropped out in the 6th grade myself.
Well, Beverly, I know that the college appreciates your taking your time to put on record this reflection and also your reactions. Just a story about your start in business and your part of Oklahoma City, and Beverly's is a part of Oklahoma City. There isn't any question about it. And,
yeah, we're pretty well in the hearts of the people in Oklahoma City. We've worked toward the interest of people and what they want, how they want it.
and you certainly
Friendliness.
participated in many, many, many activities in the city.
Yes, sir. We work at it. You need to work at it. Every man should take part in civic activities to build a city in which he lives, because we'll just take, for instance, the Chamber of Commerce in Oklahoma City. We have the greatest Chamber of Commerce and the greatest Chamber of Commerce Executive Secretary, Stanley Draper, I think, of any Chamber of Commerce in the world. I believe he's the best promoter that I've ever seen in any city.
That feeling has been voiced by any number of people. It seems to be universal.
Yes, sir. I wonder who's going to take his place, but somebody always comes along and takes somebody's place, seems like.
May do it in a different way, but
Different
at least
way,
they'll
yeah.
fill the shoes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And this city, I come here in 21, is a kind of a prairie town.
I bet it was in 21.
It's a metropolitan area now for 10 miles out.
The largest in the country.
Yes,
in
sir.
area.
Yeah, and the area is the largest in the world, isn't it?
The largest in the country, anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
Largest in this country, which is pretty big. Well, we want to thank you again.
You're welcome. We're just happy to do it. If I can help, I'm willing and ready.
Thank you very
Been a
much.
joy.